Hey guys, Herminator here coming to you on video. Here's your first packet. Now, it says a cat leaps into the air with initial velocity of 12 feet per second to catch a speck of gust, falls back to the floor. How long does a cat remain in the air? Okay, so the units we have in this problem, of course, are feet and seconds, okay? So X is seconds and Y is feet. Okay, and we've done this problem before, but you're going to come across something new today after this one. So feet per second's 12, okay? Now a cat's not going to just go up in a line. He goes up and he comes back down, okay? I'm trying to find when he's 0 feet. Okay, so my equation that I usually write is going to be -6, because that's gravity, if you remember, plus velocity x, so 12x, and there is no, s means starting height, but there is no starting height that we know of, so equals 0 feet. I don't know when he's at 0 feet, or y, but I put 0 in for the y. Okay, so there's only two terms here, so what I'm going to just focus on is my GCF. Okay, so GCF, I kind of figure that outside the box. I do have a negative in front, so we got to put a negative. I have X on both of these, so we're going to have X. And then let's talk about 16 and 12, see what we can maybe divide those by. So 12, factors of 12, you got 1 and 12. 12 divided by 2 equals 6. 12 divided by 3 equals 4, and then I'm just back to 4. Now, can I divide these both by, let's try 12 first. 16 divided by 12 is a decimal, so that won't work, okay? And that happens a lot on my camera that you just saw. Not cool, but whatever. Divide these by 6. 16 divided by 6 is a decimal, okay? The next highest would be 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3, so 4 is what we pick, okay? So -4x and -4x. Okay, so I need to factor out a -4x, and then that gives me +4, and then that goes to x. And then 12 minus 4 is -3, so -3. Okay, now I parenthesize the GCF, and now I get my two answers, because the equation does have two answers. Either the -4 times x could equal 0, or the 4x minus 3 could equal 0. Okay, so I'm going to divide by -4, just box it up, and then we divide, and that's 0 for my first answer. But more importantly then, I plus 3, so 4 times x equals 3. Then we divide by 4. 3 divided by 4 is 0.75, okay? Okay, so the 0 is because the cat's also at 0 feet right here, but that's kind of stupid because that'd be just 0 seconds. So that's why I get 0 as an answer. And then 0.75 would be down here, so less than a full second. Okay, so those are my two solutions. Okay, we've done that before. That's nothing new. Now let's talk about what you're going to be doing today. Okay, ignore all these lines I drew. Okay. Drew him like an idiot. An athlete throws a discus from an initial height of 6 feet with an initial velocity of 46 feet per second. How many seconds is a discus in the air? Okay. So like on the last problem, we got feet and we got seconds. So X is seconds, Y is feet. Now feet per second. How many feet per second do we have? It says 46 feet per second, so that's got to be 46, not the 6. Okay, now you have this parabola, and I want to find when it hits the ground, just like I normally do. So I make another box, but this equation is going to be different. You got your gravity pulling it back down, and then your 46x. But the discus was launched from 6 feet, so I need to put +6 before I put equals 0. Okay. Well, that's 3 terms, okay? So with 3 terms, it's a trinomial. It's 3. So I need to first look for a GCF, but I won't be done there. Then I'm going to have to do my T-chart. Remember, we check if the A equals 1. Okay, so the GCF, you have a negative in front, so you got to get that as negative. Do you have X on everything? No. And then 6 is your small guy. So 6, I got 1 and 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then I just come back to 3. Okay, can I divide all these by 6? No, 46 divided by 6 equals a decimal. Can you divide them all by 3? No, not even close. 16 and 46 both give you decimals there. Can you divide them all by 2? 16 by 2 is 8. That's 23, and that's 3. So it's going to be 2. But it's negative 2. So I need to factor out just a negative 2. And then we're going to divide all these by negative 2. So negative 16 divided by negative 2 is 8, and then x to the second. 46 divided by negative 2 is negative 23x, so minus 23x. And then positive 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. So if it's a negative, I just write minus. Now I circle this, and that's where I run the t-test from, not up here. So A, B, C. So 8 times negative 3 is negative 24, so we're going to be looking for a difference of 23. Okay, that doesn't take long because 24 divided by 1 is 24, and that subtracts to 23. So you found them. Now is A equal to 1? No, A equals 8. So I need 4 parentheses to get this factored down correctly. Okay, so since A is 8, I lead with the 8, and then I go x and x. The x squared we split into x and x, and then the 1 and the 24. Okay, so I have minus 23 right there, so I have to have minus 24 for sure, and then difference would be plus. Now, whenever 1's my smaller of the two, we might as well just drop that down, okay? And by the way, we need 2 answers in the end. 8 and 24, let's talk about 8 here, okay? Factors of 8, you got 1 and 8. You've got 8 divided by 2 is 4, 3 is a decimal, and then that brings me back to 4. So, can you divide these both by 8? Well, that divided by 8 is 1, and 24 divided by 8 is 3. So we can divide by 8, and that's 1x minus 3. Okay, so now that I got this factored, I can solve. So 8x plus 1 equals 0, and 1x minus 3 equals 0. So I minus 1, 8x equals negative 1. Then I divide by 8, and that's going to be negative 0.125. And then I plus 3, so 1x equals 3. Okay, 3 seconds is the real answer. The negative's just kind of a junk answer, kind of like the 0 was on the last problem. Okay, next problem. Baseball's hit in the air with an initial height of 4 feet, velocity of 30 feet per second. How many seconds is it in the air? Okay, so my units are seconds and feet. That's x, and that's y. So feet per second, okay? Feet per second's 30. That's your feet per second rate. And again, it's a parabola. We want to find out the landing spot on the ground. So again, gravity, negative 16x squared plus the velocity of 30x plus your starting height of 4. So now we have a trinomial. So I'm going to do the GCF, and then I'm going to still got to go to my T table. Okay, so GCF, well, we have the negative. We always have the negative in front. You're at least going to do a negative. Okay, you don't have X on all your numbers. Now let's talk about 4. Factors of 4, 1, 4, and then twins of 2. Okay, now can you divide all these by 4? No, 30 divided by 4 is a decimal. How about 2? That'd be 8. That'd be 15, and that'd be 2. So 2 works, but it's negative 2. You're always going to have a negative. Okay, we're going to get 8x squared, and that becomes negative 15x, so minus 15x, and then minus 2. And this is where I run my t-test from. So 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. And all these are differences. You're always going to get a negative if you do it right. 1 and 16, pretty easy. Is A 1? No, again, it's not. A equals 8. Okay, so we need 4 parentheses, 2 sets. So I lead off with 8, x, and then we're going to go with the 1 and the 16. Okay, so I have minus 15 for sure. So we got to have minus 16, and the difference is plus. So 8x plus 1. If 1's your smallest, you can't do anything. And then let's look at 8 and 16. So 8, 1, 8, 2, 4. 3 is a decimal, and then we're back to 4. Okay? So divide by 8, and that's going to be 1x. You can divide those both by 8. Okay? 1x minus 2. Okay, so now I have my 2 factors in simplest form we can solve. So 8 times x is negative 1 divided by 8. That's going to be negative 0.125. That's going to be 2, so x is 2. 2 is the real answer, 2 seconds. Okay, for some of you who are like, oh, I already know what to do here, can I go ahead and work? Yeah, your assignment, though, is going to be number 3, okay? That's the problem I need you to do for sure. Okay, I'm going to keep going, though, okay, if you need it. Okay, a cliff diver jumps from a ledge 96 feet above the ocean. Upward velocity is 16 feet per second. How many seconds does a diver hit water? So you got seconds and feet. You've got X, I got Y. Feet per second, it happens to be 16. Okay, 16, not 96. I didn't say feet per second. Okay, so he goes up and he enters water, which is, we call that 0 feet. Okay, so I got negative 16x squared for the gravity term, plus 16x for the velocity term, plus 96. You can't put the 96 there. That's not your feet per second. Okay, and then equals 0. So we've been looking for a GCF, followed by the T-chart, asking myself, is A equal to 1? GCF, negative in front, no. Or yeah, you do have negative in front. You got to put a negative then. Okay, do I have X on everything? No. Okay, 16 is my smallest of the 3. So factors 16, 1 16, 2 8, 3 is a decimal, and then I get twin factors of 4. Now let's try 16. 16 divided by 16 is 1. 16 divided by 16 is 1. And 96 divided by 16 is actually 6. So 16 is the one to use. Negative 16, though. So I pull out negative 16. Not with an X, though. Just with that. Okay, so it's going to be 1 x to the second. Negative 1, so minus 1x. And then negative 6, so minus 6. Okay, so we got the A, B, C. From here, 1 times negative 6 is negative 6, so we're looking for a difference of just 1. That's a difference of 5. Yep, there you go. Okay, is A 1? Actually, yes. So if A is 1, all I need is 2 parentheses, and I don't need a lead coefficient. I can just go x, because it's just 1x squared. It's got to be x, then 2 and 3. Okay, so I have minus 1x, so that means I have minus 3 for sure. That means I'm going to have plus 1. Okay, so x plus 2 equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0. And we're always finding the 2. There's going to be 2 answers. Only one of them is a real answer. but I still want to see the two of them. So -2 and then 3. So he was in the air for 3 seconds. Okay. Then the last one. A football is thrown into the air at an initial height of 5 feet, velocity of 16 feet per second. How many seconds does it hit the ground? Okay, so we got feet and we got seconds, and we got feet per second. Okay, the feet per second, I know that's going to be 16. Okay, 16 feet per second. So he goes up, comes back down, and I want to find out when he hits the ground. So I've got -16x squared, plus my velocity is 16, so 16x, and then your starting height's 5. So again, you got a trinomial. Now, for those of you saying, oh, there's not a GCF, I got news for you. You have to put a negative, so you do have a GCF. You have to put a negative, you're already going to have one. We don't have X on everything, and then when we were talking about 5, 1, and 5, but I can't divide all these by 5, okay? So that isn't going to work. Now you're like, well, what do I do with this negative? You put a 1 with it, okay? I know I've told you if it's 1, just forget it, but not if it's -1. So that's going to be 16x squared. That becomes -16x minus 5. Okay, so I'll run my chart from here. 16 times -5 is -80. Difference of 16. Okay, so 1 and 80, that's 79. 2 and 40, no. 3 is a decimal. 4 and 20, yeah, 20 minus 4 is 16. So is A equal to 1? No. A is equal to 16. So obviously, to factor that correctly, we need the 4 parentheses. So I lead off with 16, and then X and X, okay? And then 4 and 20, okay? So we got -16, so you got -20 for sure, and then plus 4. Okay, so 4 and 16, 4 is smaller. So I got 1, 4, and 2, 2. Can you divide both these by 4? Actually, you can. So, by the way, cross that out once you're done. And you don't do anything with that 4 we're dividing by. I'm dividing it down so it matches. Oh, 16 and 20. This will be fun. Factors of 16, I guess. 1, 16, 2, 8, 3, and then 4 by 4. Okay, can you divide these both by 16? No, 20 won't. It's a decimal. How about 8? No, 20 won't divide by 8 either. How about 4? Well, that's 4 and that's 5, so you bet 4 works. So 4x minus 5. Okay, so my two answers, 4x plus 1 equals 0. 4x minus 5 equals 0. So 4 times x equals -1, and then I divide by 4, and I get -0.25. That's in kind of a worthless answer. Okay, plus 5, 4x equals 5, divide by 4, and x is 1.25. Okay, here's your second. Okay, that's really all I have to say on that today, and we have a second one, but the second one's much quicker.